Michal, where did we stop?
I believe we stopped at the end of 300. I think we're ready to start 301.
Now those ongoing class.
Okay. So Rosh Hashanah is 2 weeks from tonight, Mir Hashem, right?
We can pass it over there, meanwhile.
You can sit over there also. Sure. You have it? Good. Okay. The Rabaria, just the Gemara from the Shas bring back the two of them, okay? Okay, HATSHUVAH Zakat HaShlemut. I'm not sure what he means yet by Zakat HaShlemut. Let's see what he means. Shlemut is completeness, right? Ma koreh kishtokim b'shofar. What happens when we blow shofar? בזמן תקיעת השופר יש ברק שלא מהעולם הזה. When the shofar is blown, there's a flash, a lightning flash, but not of this world. אשר מאיר לנו כמה אנחנו קדושים. And that flash illuminates for us how holy we are. Right, that's when you hear shofar, right? You're having a certain experience, right? Like, what are you experiencing? I mean, the mitzvah plain and poshut is that you're blowing shofar, because that's the mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah, right? We're blowing the shofar, like we were learning in Gemara this morning, where Malchi is a chronis shofar, right? Why don't you do this? See who's good. Maybe we don't know yet. We'll see. Let's see.
I assume.
Huh?
I assume.
That it's a woman, yeah. Let's see. You're right.
Yes.
Ashley, no, Shira, with the glasses.
Told me to come
She came
instead of
she
her.
came the next day. Yeah, by the way, after you were here last time, she came the next day,
That's what they're doing every other day. That's
and then
So
just keep
that
it.
way it's like
Yeah, yeah.
someone's watching.
Okay, and you are Sam? Okay. Okay, so we're talking about what's going on when the shofar is being blown. So in the davening we speak about malchiyot, kingship, zichronot, remembrance, right? There's a verse in the Gemara that says, like Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God said, Tamlichuni aleichem. And I'm sorry, Imru lefonei malchiyos zichronis v'shofros. Say for me the verses of kingship, remembrance, and the verses about blowing the shofar. And Malchiyos, it says, why do we say the verses of Malchiyot? Tamlichuni aleichem, so that you should make me king over you. Zichronot, that your remembrance should come up before me. And how should you do all this? You should do all this with a shofar, right? That's a price in the Gemara. So there's a whole discussion about truly involved. Did you ever think it was so involved that you were learning this morning? It's like where do you begin? Where do you go? Right? Anyway, so I saw yesterday that in a sikha from the Lubavitch Rebbe, he brings two parables concerning this. One from the Baal Shem Tov and one from the Yitzchak Berditchever. The parable from the Baal Shem Tov goes as follows. There was a king who had a son, an only son, a prince, and he's very talented and everything. And the king decides it would be a good idea for the prince, for his edification, to get more of a worldly knowledge and to meet other kings and to see other countries and to get to know people and to be able to be a good king. So the king sends him off on a journey, gives him some servants, gives him a lot of money, and he goes on this long journey for a few to become more worldly, to see the world. In the meantime, the prince gets very, very involved in the worldly things, and he also gets attracted to the pleasures of the world. And after a while, he's running out of money, so he fires the servants, and then he sells the horses. And lo and behold, he's been away a long time, and he's penniless. He has nothing, and he decides he better go home to his father. But in the meantime, after all this time, he's also lost. He's lost touch with his country. He doesn't even remember the language of his country. And he comes back, and he can't communicate with the people. But somehow or other, the signs made this and that, trying to tell people that he's the king's son, Nobody is paying attention to him. They don't understand what he's saying. But he finally does get into the king's courtyard, and the guards sort of won't let him through because they don't what are you, who are you, what are you? And finally he just screams. He screams from the depth of his heart, and the king recognizes his son's voice. And he brings him in and puts him back on his as prince, etc. And that's one mashal. So the blowing of the shofar is basically like crying out to God. It's over here. The other shas is over here. He's crying out to God, and the shofar is like no words. It's just a shkoyach. Mr. Shem Koltiv. the shofar is crying out to Hashem without words. It's like, like from your deepest depths. So according to this mashal, the sound of the shofar is our cry to God, right? The other mashal we won't go into right now, because that relates more to Zechronis. So what Rav Shlomo is saying right now is that while something happens when the shofar is blown, there's a flash, an otherworldly flash that touches us deeply. And what does it illuminate? It illuminates that, wow, you're so holy. Right? Shira, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So then talk about it and tell us more. You know English, I heard. Go on. Are you writing in English or are you writing in Hebrew, by the way?
Writing what? In my life?
Yeah.
Both.
Both?
Yeah, mostly English.
Which one? Yeah. Okay. So go on. Tell us about the flash and what we just read.
From what source? My brain.
Recently, I read or heard something.
What do you have an agreement with Shira that whenever I ask her something,
He read my mind, and
that she's davening that she's davening that somebody else please speak up?
I'm not sure where I heard it, but it really got me confused because of what we've been learning in Tanya. But I read that when we hear the shofar, that's the same way Hashem hears it. And that comes in confliction with what I understand, because, like, how could Hashem hear?
What does that mean?
That the blowing of the shofar is something that's so high, it's so great, that this is the exact way Hashem created it, and this is how He experiences it as well.
Esther Tova, I'm teaching the class right now, but you can call me at 1:35, okay, please? Thank you.
But how could God experience the same way we experience?
Sorry, you have to what? Okay.
It's a much more philosophical question.
It conflicts with what we've been learning in Tanya.
But okay, listen. Let's keep in mind, whenever we speak about Hashem, we're always talking human language. We just have to know the limitations of the language, and realize that no matter how sophisticated your language is, it's never going to be able to accurately describe anything about Hashem. But by realizing the limitations of our language, we realize like where we're at the edge and that Hashem is beyond. Okay, so let's just leave that for a second. Okay, so now that he's given you more time to think, what do you want to say? You don't have to say. I'm just.
I have to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know. A lot of these people that I'm speaking to are very confused as to how Elul and Rosh Hashanah are times of happiness and not like mourning.
That's a whole other question. Yeah.
Fear,
so what are you gonna say?
And like I think that's
why mourning?
Not mourning, but like fear. Just kind of like it's not a happy time. And we like celebrate it as a happy time. And I think that's what this is talking about. Like the shofar, a lot of people could say is like. It's scary. It's like a scary awakening, but it's not. It's like a awakening of how holy you are. Like the story, that's exactly us. Like all we have to do is cry out to God, and we're home. Like HATSHUVAH isn't going beyond yourself. It's returning to yourself. Like it's all in you. Like and really, this wake up call is to wake us up to how holy we are, and we should start acting like you're the son of God, like daughter of God. Like
very nice.
Behave like
very nice. So there's hi. Nancy, I remember. What's the name again? Tina and
Sarah.
So we have some books. We're on page 301. What did you want to say?
What I want to say is not an answer, but a question.
Yeah.
Because I find this with the statement here that this I understand the lightning, burst of lightning, the spark. That I understand. I feel that way also with the shofar. It's very startling, the shofar. But it's not, to me, it's not obvious that this is enlightening how holy we are. It's not. That's not something that I would expect. to say. I could say that
Okay,
it would
okay.
lighten how much we're troubled or how much we want to go back, but how holy I wouldn't. That's not move on, my love. It's not
Okay, okay.
obvious to me.
We need to understand it also. We're trying to understand it. Okay?
It also doesn't feel like the wake up call so much to me. It feels like a piercing sound that opens Shari Shamayim. Like when you blow the shofar, it goes directly up,
Well,
and it opens your
just-
pathways
but-
for your prayers.
yeah, but
Or it opens
keep
your
in
heart.
keep in mind that what's the bracha you make on the shofar?
Al Tekiah Shofar.
Lishma.
Lishma kol shofar, right? The mitzvah is to hear the shofar. It's not. So you would imagine, right, that the mitzvah, that the bracha should be that you're making a bracha to blow the shofar, right? No, but it's not. It's to hear the shofar. Okay, so that relates to what you just said, but we'll come back to it. Okay. So what Rav Shlomo is obviously talking about now is something a little bit different, and he's talking about an aspect of the experience of it. And if you haven't had that experience so far, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you won't have it. It doesn't mean that you will have it. It just, he's talking about an aspect of the experience of hearing the shofar. And he hasn't explained right now what that even means when he says that there's an illumination. We only read 3 lines, Pnina. Okay, that when during the blowing of the shofar, there's this otherworldly flash that illuminates within us, showing us how holy we are. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean, how holy we are? That's also something we have to understand, okay? Let's just read a couple more lines and see what happens here. בכל הספרים הקדושים and all the holy books כתוב שגם אם נטהר ב10,000 מקוואות, that even if we were to purify ourselves in 10,000 מקוואות, לא נגיע לרמת הטהרה של זמן תקיעת השופר. You won't reach the same level of purification that you have at the time that you hear the shofar. Okay? So, it would be very interesting if everybody here would take a whole week and find some place to be for some quiet and meditate on these few lines for a week and then come back and tell us what happened, So, כשמשיח יבוא ויתקע בשופר גדול, when Mashiach is going to come, right? We daven this in the Shemoneh Esrei every day, יתקע בשופר גדול. Mashiach will come and blow in a great shofar, blow the sound of the great shofar. בכל העולם ישימו לב, the entire world is going to pay attention, ויאמרו, and they will say, לא ידענו שאנחנו חיים בעולמו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. We didn't realize until now that we're living in God's world. בכל עם בדרכו שלו ירצה להיות חלק מעולם זה. And every nation in their own way is going to want to be a part of this world. Okay? כמובן, השם צריך יפנים, השם צריך צרפתים. Obviously, God needs Japanese and Frenchies. אבל
French people, please.
Is there something wrong with saying Japanese? No. Is there anything wrong with saying Frenchies?
In Canada, we say Frenchies, but
French people, okay. I speak French, don't worry. Vraiment, je parle français. Okay, so, and I was born in France too. That's why I loved them. Okay. And so actually right now France, I think, is the only European country that has passed a law against the BDS. Did you know that? I just read that yesterday. Yeah. And so, yeah. So the So he says that God needs Japanese people and French people. But the situation is that each of them is detached from what they're supposed to be. They don't even really know what it is to be Japanese or what it is to be French. In other words, what exactly is their role in the world? They're not, because they're not connected yet. Okay, I'll explain that in a minute. But when they're going to hear the sound of Mashiach's shofar, and they will have that illumination, they will know exactly what they need to be doing. So just want to tell you this little anecdote first, and some of you probably already know it. Right back in the 60s, Rav Shlomo was being interviewed on a radio talk show, on a radio show in Germany, when radio was still very popular. And this particular show had over 100,000 listeners, and this is in Germany. And the interviewer says to Rav Shlomo, she says, so you're a rabbi and you're a singer, you must be making a lot of money. So that he ignored. But then she asked him a very chutzpahdik question. She said that Hitler Yamach Shemo said that the Aryans are the superior race, and you Jewish people say in your prayers, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, that you're thanking God for being the chosen nation. What makes you different? In other words, from how, in what way are you different from the Nazis saying that the Aryans are the superior race? So Rav Shlomo answered, and he said, Hitler Yamach Shemai, in claiming that he was the superior, his was the superior race, he believed that that gave him the right to trample on everybody and to get rid of whoever he wanted. When we say Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, that Hashem, you've chosen us, we understand that you've chosen us to help everybody else realize how special they are too. Okay? So, that answer is a very deep answer. Okay, so that they should, that everybody that we have this role to help everybody connect with the Rebbeinu Shalom, so that everybody should realize that they also have a very special role in being in this world. Okay, now, so in a sense, Reb Shlomo has just sort of explained what he meant, what he means when he says that on Rosh Hashanah there's a flash showing you how holy you are. Now there's two aspects over here. One aspect is like this, that the Bechlal, the word kadosh, right? For example, when there's a marriage taking place and the Chosn says, Hareyat Mekudeshet li, that means that you're going into a very special relationship with me, an exclusive relationship with me. When we say that Am Yisrael is an Am Kodesh, Ki Am Kodesh Ata L'Hashem Elokechem, you are a holy nation to Hashem your God, that means that we have an exclusive relationship with Hashem, and we can't get ourselves involved with any other powers, any other stuff. We're exclusively given over to the Rebbeinu Shalom. We're married to God. Okay. Kedusha also means unique. Like when we say that Hashem, when we say, God, you are holy, what do we mean to say that you are holy? What can I say about God's holiness that I'm saying, God, you are holy, right? So, but basically what we're really saying is that Hashem, you are other than worldly. You are beyond anything that we understand. You are beyond anything that we know. You're just beyond, okay? But somehow or other, you've extended a bridge to us that we can connect with you, the bridge of the Torah and mitzvahs, okay? Now, what happens? Why is it that that we have trouble living and manifesting how special we are, right? Why is that? Because basically we forget that we forget, right? Somebody comes and asks you to do something, and very often, like let's say something important. Very often we say, "Who, me? It's not for me. This is for somebody really special. This is not for me. This is not for me. I'm not good enough, or I'm not that enough, or is it going to make a difference if I do it or if I don't do it?" Right? All kinds of questions like that, right? But when you realize, and you really believe that when the Mishnah says, "Lefichach chaya b'adam lomar b'shvili nivra ha'olam," that every person is obligated to say, "The world was created for my sake." From the very beginning of creation until now, and this very moment, the entire universe in God's eyes, it's all worth it for each one of us to be here. Okay, so if we would really think about that, and we would have a hard time thinking that whatever you're doing is not important enough, right? Now maybe what I'm doing, maybe much of what I'm doing isn't important enough, but if I would really realize, how important my being is, I wouldn't do many of the things that I'm doing, and I would do other things that are more important. Okay. So what Rav Shlomo is getting at, all the other things that you said about shofar blowing and so on, that's what you said. All these things are very true. Okay. Rav Shlomo is going into another aspect over here. He's saying that during the blowing of the shofar, what happens is that there's a revelation. You receive this otherworldly revelation that you are really kadosh, and as such, you get this revelation that your being here in this world is extremely meaningful. Okay. Now, does that just happen just like that? Does it happen only if you really prepare yourself to be ready to hear it? Do we first need to pierce the skies, like you were saying, right? Or like Shira was saying. What were you saying, Shira? That there's a sense of, repeat.
That instead of thinking like we're so unholy, we're so holy that we should behave like
that we should be right. In other words, there's this strong revelation of connection with the Ribbono Shel Olam, right? That is beyond, do you forgive me? It's like mamish is I'm with you, God, right? In other words, there's this revelation that we're connected, despite the fact that maybe all year long I may have done who knows what, right? And acted disconnected. Rosh Hashanah, it's like that mushal that I was just saying before, is the cry of the prince to his father, okay? And what the father is hearing is that after everything that happened, his child realizes that his mom is really connected. Now, does it begin with us, or does it begin in heaven? That's a whole other thing. I understand. Does it begin with us, or does it begin?
It could happen all of a sudden, or it could be a build up to. It's either or.
Okay, and in some respects it's both. Okay. So in Chassidus it speaks about that, like one of the reasons that we keep on saying during the Seder HaShuvah, we say HaMelech HaKadosh, Melech, everything is about Malchus, is normally the way you would think about it is that we are raising our consciousness to Hashem's kingship, but what's actually happening to you during this time is that there is a greater revelation of Hashem's Malchut, and therefore, in other words, if we would really be in tune with that, you wouldn't need the Siddur or the Shulchan Aruch to tell you this is the time to speak about Hashem's Malchus.
Your kidneys would tell us.
Your kidneys would tell you exactly. Okay, he didn't just make that up, by the way. Okay, like I have a friend. I hope that one day you get to hear him drumming. Zev Macklin made Aliyah from Montreal about 15, 16 years ago. He's one of the top drummers in Montreal. So you know how. So drums have to be tuned also. Okay. And he told me once that he tunes the drum every day. He tunes his drums to the sound of the universe. Okay. Now, to you and to me, it's like, what are you talking about, right? I know that you can get yourself a gadget and what do they call it, A440 or whatever, huh? No, I'm saying like when you're tuning the strings on the guitar, you're tuning it to a certain frequency. I'm saying you're tuning things to a certain. He hears. He says every day the sound in the universe is a little bit different, and he tunes his drums accordingly. And the fact is, when you hear him playing drums, it's different. Okay. In any case, so in other words, there is something emanating. There is, by the way, I saw in the Sefer, I saw that according to the Zohar, all the motion of the planets and all the heavenly bodies, everything that's in motion, the motion is generated by music. And that is we can't hear it because it's so intense that if we would hear it, our souls would leave our bodies. Okay? There's a Mishnah in Masechta Sotah. It says, "Oz Yosher Moshe Bnei Yisrael et Hashira Hazot," and the Gemara talks about how did everybody know the song, and there's all these different opinions about. So one opinion is that Moshe Rabbeinu sang each verse, and everyone, the rest of us, just said Ashira Lashem. We too would like to sing. And so that was like Ashira Lashem was like a refrain. Another opinion is that Moshe Rabbeinu said a verse, and we repeated it. Another opinion is that there was this great prophecy that was experienced by everybody at the same time, and that we all knew the song. Okay. Another opinion is.
Wasn't it the women that knew the song?
No, the women. That's the women brought musical instruments. That's something else. Okay, but no, not just the women. Everybody. And then there's another opinion that says everybody got an iPhone and.
No, I heard an opinion that that just in case this happened, they had written a song and learned it before.
That's not brought in the Gemara.
No, it doesn't exist.
No, it was Az Yashir. It happened then. It happened. It happened then, and then there's another opinion is that even a child that was nursing stopped nursing, and the infant also sang. And then there's another opinion that says that even the fetuses in their mother's wombs also sang. So Rav Shlomo once spoke about 4 levels of song, okay? And the highest level of song is where the song is singing you. Okay. The song is singing you. There's one level of song is that there's the person who's singing, and you have an appreciation for it, and you say, Ashir al Hashem, I'd like to be able to sing it also. There's another level of song that you can repeat after the one who's singing. There's another level of song that you are inspired, just like the musician is inspired, you are also inspired, right? To sing the song. But the song is still something separate from you. Then there's the level where the song is singing you. That's the fetus singing in its mother's womb. So these are four levels of connection. Okay. And what Rav Shlomo is saying is that when the shofar is, when you hear the shofars, when you hear the sound of the shofar, you get a revelation of how deeply connected every one of us is. Okay. And it's like wow, I thought maybe once upon a time I was connected. I thought maybe you were connected, but I never realized how connected I am, right? You realize that we're so connected. Okay? And that, he says, so then he brought the teaching of that is even more purifying than going to 10,000 mikvahs. Okay? And what does it mean to be connected, right? It means that you know why you're here and you know what you need to be doing. And hopefully we go ahead and we do it. Okay.
Tell us a lesson. I hear what we're saying, but in all my life, in my knowledge, I've never experienced this.
Let me tell you something. There's a lot of things that we're learning about that, that most of us, including myself, could say, wow, I never experienced that. I never experienced that yet. That's why we're learning it. If you already had experienced it, you wouldn't need to be learning about it.
Learning about something is one thing.
Yeah.
But experience it is something completely different.
Nope. In 2 weeks from tomorrow, you're going to hear shofar. And then after Yom Tov, you'll come back and you'll share it.
In 2 weeks, when I hear the shofar, I'll try to remember that.
Yeah.
Can one put oneself in a state of holiness? Or does it just...
All the time.
When I was 18, I knew everything. Now I don't know so much.
Don't be careful, because some people here are 18 and they're going to think they don't have to learn.
Well, when I was 18, I didn't have...
It's okay. Yes. Okay.
Wait,
yeah.
The whole idea at the end where like that, as soon as they hear the shofar, they're gonna know what they need to do. What does that mean? Like they're just gonna know, oh, all right, so because I was Japanese, so like
they're gonna know their truth. They're gonna know that that they have a part and an important role in the world, and it doesn't have to be that they don't have to define their importance by going to war with anybody else.
Everyone will know their place in the world.
So up until Biat HaMashiach,
until Biat HaMashiach, there's this struggle that's going on all the time. Like, take for example what's going on. Just like like the go and ask an anti-Semite who's being anti-Semitic today. Ask them why 50 years ago weren't you anti-Semitic? Then he thought it was wrong to be anti-Semitic. Now he thinks it's right to be anti-Semitic. There's there's confusion all the time in the world, and sometimes people just don't know what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, most people, how do most people decide what they should be doing? Well, they go to the shopping center and they find out who's the biggest rock star now, or what's the most popular movie, and what is the message of that, and that's what they think that they need to be doing, or whatever it is. You understand? People in Bechlal don't get in touch with their essence. The sound of the shofar is both worldly and heavenly at the same time, and meaning to say, getting in touch with your essence. I'm in this world, but I'm not. This is not where I come from. I come from a higher world, right? And what is this? What did I come for? What am I supposed to be doing in this world? Okay. So like that mushal that I was giving that we learned before from the Baal Shem Tov, the prince who even forgot his language, right? But he's trying to get back in touch with what is my essence. My essence is that I'm the son of the king, right? And as soon as he cries out with that from that essence, right, the king hears him and brings him back. So now you can imagine that he doesn't even really know what his essence is anymore. He just knows that he wants to be back with his father, right? He wants to go into his father. And what does his father do? His father takes him back in and reestablishes that special relationship.
So very interesting. You mentioned about the bracha of the shofar.
The Shema
Kol shofar.
Yeah.
Listen. Here he's talking about Barak Shemeir.
Yeah.
Shemeir.
Yeah.
Which is more what we see.
No, but he's
wait.
Yeah,
Wait, let me finish
okay, go ahead.
Let me finish my thought. He's talking about seeing the essence because we're living in a world of illusion. You know,
Yeah.
it exists, we think that what we see is what is.
Yeah.
But that's only the external.
Right.
That's only the superficial.
Right.
The essence is something that's not obviously
Right.
obvious to sight.
Right.
And we need sometimes by understanding, listen, the Shmoah is not just to hear physically, it's to understand deeply. And,
Right.
And what we see with our eyes, we get very distracted and swayed and lured and seduced.
Right.
And we think that's it, and it's not it. That's
Right.
just a lot of reality is an illusion.
Yeah.
But on Torah, where we heard it and saw the reality.
Right. So hearing is deeper than seeing, actually. You know. So the I don't know if first of all, this is a translation of something that he said in English, and even when he was speaking in English, you know, you got to understand that sometimes people are using metaphors or words like synonyms and so on. But
This reminds me.
I heard you.
Reminds me of Shlomo speaking.
I got you.
I heard him say things. Now I understand what he meant more. Yeah. Reading this, I understand what he said. But he used to say, he sees someone, he say, he call you holy. No matter who he call you holy, he called me holy.
Right.
And I didn't know I was holy. And he said, he saw me with the Mashiach eyes.
Right.
And now this is helping me to understand what he was saying.
Right.
I think from what you said, Lishma, like it connected to the sentence Lishma Lirot Melamed. So you hear what happened, you hear the shofar, you see, you build an understanding from it, from what you heard, your connection that you built, and you pass it on. You teach it to others. So I think that's a big part of it when you hear the shofar. So like you need to get into consideration and push it through the process of passing it on to others.
Yeah, but even before getting to passing on to others is to get back in touch with who you really are.
That's the lishma part.
Yeah. You want to say something? No. Does she want to say something? It's okay, you don't have to. Huh? She was here once before. She always has something good to say.
Maybe.
No?
Maybe later.
Maybe later. Okay, good. You want to say something?
Just talking with this idea where in the beginning he was asking how that shofar, he would imagine, brings you to tshuva, to like opening the gates.
Yeah.
And then now I was thinking with the mashal, with the prince, that as soon as the king hears, his son, so now this person gets reestablished as a prince. And now that he's a prince, all these other things all the gates are open now. Just needed for him to be reestablished. Which could be what Rav Shlomo was saying with understanding our kedusha. That if we understand our kedusha, then we become the prince, and now all the gates are open.
Right. Yeah. And Sam, do you want to say something? I didn't think so, but I just had to be polite. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes the people who don't say anything are the ones who have something really to say,
She's my rabbit's son.
Oh, yeah?
She's not.
Which one of you is more humble?
She is.
Want to say something?
It's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way.
Then you're not. Then if you're perfect in every way, then you're obviously humble.
I'm doing the best that I can too.
Right. Okay, page 302. Let's start it. הכותל המערבי, התשובה המעולה. So the best tshuva. נחזור ונסביר את שני סוגי ההארה. So let's go back and explain these two types of illumination. ההארה הפתאומית הראשונה מראה לי שהמקום שאני נמצא בו איננו מקום טוב ולכן אני משתנה. So page 302. So the first illumination, all this is a commentary on Rav Kook's OROT HATSHUVAH, what we're learning here, okay? Rav Shlomo gave shiurim on OROT HATSHUVAH. So the first illumination is where Hashem is showing me that the place that I'm in is not that good, and therefore I realize that I've got to change. Rav Kook was talking about two types of illumination. Because the first kind of illumination is that you realize something's got to change. That's a basic illumination. In other words, it's really centered around yourself. You realize, whether it's from your body or whatever it is, you have this realization that, in other words, if you ate something that's not good for you, that your body tries to repel it or whatever it is, and so on. You did something that doesn't feel right. You don't feel good about it. These are illuminations to tell you that change. Okay. Then there's Ha'ara Pitomit Helyona, the supernal revelation that comes suddenly. Marali Shani Nimtza B'makom Shetov Mimenu Lo Yitachen. It shows me that I'm in a place that there's no other better place. במקרה כזה, אני משנה את התנהגותי, and when I have that kind of experience, I change my behavior, את חיי, my life, כי אני שואף להיות חלק מהטוב האלוקי עלי אדמות. Because I want to be a part of this divine goodness on earth. Right? In other words, what Rav Kook was talking about was this realization of a much broader realization of all these of all this amazing stuff that's going on in the universe, the amazing divine goodness, and you realize it's not even it's beyond whether I'm going to go to hell or go to Gan Eden. I just want to be part of this huge, amazing divine goodness. Okay? So Rav Shlomo is getting this was discussed in the previous pages. Now he says, Ma avdel ben ha'arat HATSHUVAH ben New York, ben ha'arat HATSHUVAH al yad hakotel ha'ma'aravi. So what's the difference if you have this great Shuvah inspiration in New York, Flatbush, or Brooklyn? Okay, Manhattan. Fine. If you have this great revelation in New York, or if you have this great revelation at the Kotel, what's the difference? Having this illumination at the Kotel, it doesn't. An illumination at the Kotel doesn't mean that all of a sudden you realize that that you're drowning in garbage. שהרי מה שכתוב שאסור להביא זבל להר הבית, when it says that you're not allowed to bring garbage to the mountain of the temple, אין הכוונה לזבל גשמי בלבד. Obviously it's not just physical garbage that you're not allowed to bring, אלא שאסור להביא למקום המקדש לכלוך מכל סוג שהוא. So you're not allowed to bring any garbage to the Kotel, right, to Har HaBayit. So, mahi imken tshuva k'shomdim al yad HaKotel, right? So presumably you've done your tshuva before you get to the Kotel, right? The tshuva of getting rid of your garbage. So what tshuva is happening at the Kotel? So he says that tshuva al yad HaKotel היא תוצאה של הערה המאירה את כל הטוב. The tshuva that we're doing at the Kotel is the result of the illumination that illuminates all the good, וגורמת לרצון, and it causes us to have this tremendous desire and will לצורך להיות חלק בלתי נפרד מהטוב הזה. The tshuva, the higher tshuva at the Kotel is the tshuva that, as a result of the illumination, you feel that I just want to be a part of all the good.
I can't understand what this illumination is. I don't know what that means.
Enlightenment.
What does that mean? I have no idea what that means.
So let's take an example. A father, a mother, right? They have children, right? So there's a level of where, like, like certain basic obligations that parents have to their children, right? If Chas v'Shalom, they missed out giving their kids breakfast one day, right? They have to do tshuva, okay? So they're operating and they're relating on the basis of what's my obligation? What's my obligation? What's my obligation? Am I meeting my obligations? Then there's a level of parenthood where Gewalt, this is just so amazing that Hashem has given us the opportunity to have children and the opportunity to raise them to be the most amazing people, right? This itself is like an enormous thing that Hashem has given us, right? It's more than just my obligation to feed the kids and to send them to school. It's like, wow, this is so amazing. I want to do this. I want to be part of this. Right? That the parable you get?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So God has some kind of a huge plan with the whole universe, with planet Earth, with us being in planet Earth. Right? And Hashem has given us the opportunity to be part of it, to bring it about. It's going to come about one way or the other, whether I'm taking a part in it, whether I'm not taking a part in it. Right? So, but when you have this, so there's one illumination is like, hey, Shalom, you better do something about doing tshuva because you're getting yourself into trouble. Okay?
But is there good in that?
In that, yeah, at least I'm not going to get in trouble. Okay?
So that's like a
It's self-centered. You understand? I know that there's certain things I can't get away with. There's certain things I'm obligated to do, and so on, right? Okay. But for example, there's no rule that says that you're obligated to say hello to everybody, right? But if you have the sense of like things are supposed to be really beautiful here, and I have a part in making it really beautiful, right? You just want to do it. You want to manifest. You want to actualize with your potential to the very highest possible level. Okay. And that comes from having. That's when you have an illumination. When you have a sense of Gewalt, this can be really awesome. It is awesome.
Illumination is like the light
let's take the word realization.
Okay.
You ever see those Ford car advertisings? Ford used to have their logo for their ads was F, right? Ford is FORD, and they would have, instead of the O, they would have a light bulb that's illuminated. And then their line underneath was Ford, a better idea. So realization, like when you realize something, like the lights go on. That's what we mean. Okay. So the tshuva, when you're standing at the kotel, is realizing that there's something beautiful and awesome taking place, and you don't want to be separated from that. Kol hatzadikim amrim, im ata ozev et hakotel hamaravi. All the tzaddikim say that when you're leaving from the kotel, v'chol adam shata ro'eh nira lecha v'dochlach magil. And every person that you see seems to be dirty and disgusting. Because in your opinion he's not religious enough. So apparently you didn't get the main thing of being at the kotel.
Like Rabbi Shimon.
When he first came out of the cave.
Right, it's like you have to go back.
Right. But he didn't, by the way, but since you're mentioning Rabbi Shimon didn't think that the person that he saw was Magil, he was just saying, like, why are you spending your time doing this? There's something so much higher. Mm-hmm. Right? So mitzat sheni, on the other hand, if you're walking away from the kotel, and you see every person as like being the biggest Rebbe, then obviously you've merited to have the highest level illumination of tshuva. Right? In other words, you realize how special it is for you to be here, and you realize how special it is that you also realize how special it is that everybody else is here. Right? Because when the Mishnah says that you have to say, Bishvili Nivra HaOlam, what the Mishnah is saying is that Yef is created for your sake, and is created for Yiddich's sake, and for Yeshaya, and for Sarah, and for Pnina, and for everybody. Understand? So when you really have a real illumination of that, you're not much appreciating every single person as well. Okay, so Ms. Shim will continue tomorrow. The Seder.
Thank you.
So who's coming tomorrow, Shira or Ashley or both?